One thing we continue to talk about here on the channel over and over.
It's just too damn expensive to live anymore. Everybody's going broke. Almost everybody that I speak to tells me the same thing.
Is how broke everybody is and how expensive everything is. And I know some people are getting sick of hearing this.
As you guys know, the housing market is continuing to go in a downward direction, guys.
The stock market in America is now in its biggest bubble since 1929, suggesting that we could be on the precipice of a massive crash in stock prices unlike anything that we've seen since the Great Depression.
We're going to get to all of that in just a few minutes. Jamie Dimon with us exclusively today from the JP Morgan Global High Yield and Leveraged Finance Conference in Miami Beach.
We are at your High Yield and Leveraged Finance Conference in Miami. You've got executives, deal makers, investors all kind of coming together to talk about the financing environment. How would you characterize C-suite confidence levels now?
Yeah, look, you always got to look at markets that they change their mind pretty quickly. But right now, confidence is up. There's more M&A chatter. Equity markets open a little bit. Spreads are getting close to historical lows, which means there's a lot of money chasing high yield deals. So things are kind of open. Markets are high. People feel it.
And to get a sense of how big this bubble is, take a look at this graph, which is tracking the index value of the S&P 500 all the way back to 1880 over 150 years. You can see that today the stock prices have surged up so high that we are now double or triple long-term valuation levels, suggesting that the decline could be as much as 50%. And folks, if that type of stock market crash were to happen in 2024 and beyond, we would see pandemonium occur in the economy.
So we're going to talk about what you can do to prepare for the pending recession. You should be doing two things at once: maintaining and just stabilizing everything that you have. And the second thing is,
I know you said in fourth quarter earnings that last month that inflation may be stickier, rates may be higher than the markets expect. Is that still your base case? And what's kind of fueling that more cautious tone right now?
Yeah, so the way I look, remember in 1972 you felt great too, and before any crash you felt great, and then so things change. So you got to look ahead. And I do think there are things out there which are kind of concerning. We've got an eye on, and why are we doing so well? A lot of it's fiscal spending, and fiscal spending has a multiplier too. So I just think it may not come down that quick, and people may be surprised. So when people talk about, the market is kind of pricing a soft landing, that may very well happen, but the odds at 70 or 80%, I would give them half of that. That's all.
Is to figure out how you can actually grow and actually benefit from what is going to happen next.
Many analysts believe the U.S. economy is heading into complete destruction, that we'll see devaluation on the dollar like we've never seen before, and that our mounting debt is going to push us into a complete collapse.
Well, it seems like inflation numbers have came in and they're hotter than expected. When you go to the grocery store and you're buying that bacon or that steak, and it's 3 times that it was.
Welcome back. Here's a look at where markets ended the week, with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ closing out February at another new record high on Thursday. This coming as the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge came in at the lowest level since March of 2021.
In this video, we are going to talk about the Great Crash to start March 11th through March 15th. It's now law.
But we are not out of the woods yet. The chief investment strategist at the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, is warning that prices may go back up by next year before ultimately falling once again.
Who would have guessed that inflation has made it go up? Guys, listen, we made a mistake.
One thing we continue to talk about here on the channel over and over is how broke everybody is and how expensive everything is. And I know some people are getting sick of hearing this.
Inflation is a lot hotter than we thought it was. Well, it seems mortgage demand has taken another hit, guys. I mean, when has it slowed? But everybody is saying right now that interest rates are back at 7%. But for my numbers, they've always been high, guys. They've been above 7% for a long time.
There is one big problem holding most young people back financially.
Housing.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Has put home ownership beyond the reach for many.
If you don't already own a home, you probably can't afford one. And you probably can't even afford to rent one either. If your dream is a housing crash that will level the financial playing field, then I am sorry to tell you, but that's probably only going to make things worse.
Guys, you know that unemployment is not doing well. We know that everybody is losing income at this current time.
On a hunt for housing, but feeling overwhelmed by the soaring costs.
Property prices are rising across the U.S., and that is, in fact, in part because of these higher interest rates.
Are real home buyers and sellers alike feeling a massive struggle to close deals or make money?
And I know. Everybody was talking about the Fed cutting rates and how everything's going to be so great and you can jump back into the spring market and buy a house, right? Everybody was telling you that.
Housing is becoming more expensive for buyers and renters alike.
According to the real estate data from Adam, homes are now unaffordable for median Americans in 99% of counties they analyzed. The remaining 1% were not affordable.
Realtors and real estate agents are now telling you you're going to be priced out if you don't buy right now. Who's going to tell them we're already priced out?
Hello, friends. Welcome back. You're watching Chris Igoe. We are maxing out South Florida, living to the fullest. We are doing big things, getting stuff done, and it's just too damn expensive to live anymore. Everybody's going broke. Almost everybody that I speak to tells me the same thing.
Right now, the real estate market and the economy have something in common, and that is if you just look at the surface level data of what's happening, it can give the illusion that everything is actually going very well and the whole thing is very robust. But if you just dig 1 or 2 layers deeper into what's really going on, you start to spot the weaknesses. And that's what I like to do here on this channel because...
But I got a spam text message this past week. Essentially, I was assaulted by an agent.
Real estate mindset.
And I think right now there are many folks who desperately want a free lunch.
This is their first time of being in Boynton Beach. Anyway, they called me. I was over at Walmart, so I said, all right, well, let's get on over there. And so here we are. We're going to go inside and have some lunch. We'll show you what we have.
And there's no such thing as a free lunch. But getting back to that house, that's for sale and was held open. It was held open, and the agent who I spoke to, who spammed me relentlessly and very arrogantly declined my potential help because I offered to market his property, which is not my listing, for him for free. I offered to shoot a video there because I live in the neighborhood and I'm also the dominant listing agent in the neighborhood. But I know far more about this neighborhood and how it needs to be priced than anybody, and he overpriced this home. So I knew when I looked at the home that he was marketing that he swore up and down would sell this weekend, which continues to sit on the market unsold. I knew it was overpriced. And so despite the fact he thought he needed to dust off his spacesuit because it's going to the moon, which is why I'm wearing the NASA hat, that is not true. If you overprice a home, it will not sell. And I don't think he seems to understand that his competition is not the 9 other listings, which are also sitting on the market unsold in my neighborhood. Almost every single one of them is not going to sell because they're mainly overpriced. And if you don't price your home the right way, it's not going to sell. You need to know what the market is. You need to know what your competition is. And our competition is not the homes in our neighborhood. It's the brand new construction that a ready, willing, and able buyer can buy right now in a brand new neighborhood, which is mapped out, has everything updated, newer schools, newer communities, newer shopping, newer everything, more land, and roughly the same price. So if you don't know that, well, chances are you are effed. And there's a lot of folks in my neighborhood who are effed. And let's face it, despite the fact that Ray Dalio says that we are not in a bubble, and Ray Dalio, who is one of the most accredited, the best investors, one of the best hedge fund managers of all time, He's called markets way before the markets have crashed. He's predicted many, many things. He's out there on CNBC telling everybody that the stock market doesn't appear to be in a bubble. Well, I respectfully disagree. And I hope I'm wrong, but I'd rather prepare for the worst than hope for the best. And I'm not alone in this. In fact, I just watched Michael Fraudinero go out there and showcase a $5 million listing.
And when you have a decrease in pending home sales, it means no one's trying to buy it. It's pretty much that simple. Here we have a brand new listing for sale. Just came out a couple days ago, and it's a house, but they're marketing it as a vacant piece of land for $5 million. This house actually hasn't been sold since 1986, and back then it sold for only $180,000. Now they want $5 million. The current owner's property tax bill is about $7,500 a year, but I wonder if the new owner knows that when they buy this house and put up a brand new house, their property tax bill is going to be well over $100K per year, because when you buy that piece of land and you add improvement to it and you put a 2% valuation on that, you're going to be about $100,000, $120,000, $130,000 a year in property taxes. Absolutely insane.
And he shared the fact that whoever buys it must be aware of the property taxes, because the property taxes on this piece of land, which is really all it's trading for, which happens to be $5 million, whoever buys it, of course they're going to have an increased tax burden. But of course, taxes are insane. Of course, the property insurance market is a disaster. Of course, everybody knows that we are living in the most expensive time on the planet in human history. All of those things are true. And yet, if you've got money, you've got options. And there's a lot of folks out there who have many options. But for those of you who don't, like agents who are failing, like other people who don't earn enough money to keep themselves in their houses, you better learn how to max out video to triple your income. And if that's something you want to learn, then join my Patreon, where I'll show you exactly how to triple your income right now using video the same way I did. You can find the link in the description below. Check out my Patreon. But I don't have inside information. I do have a very good sense of smell. And the market stinks like it. And I know I'm going to offend some people with that language. But the reality is, right now, if you want to buy a half-priced home, or even lower than that, you can. And if you want to create generational wealth by buying fire sale properties while there's blood in the streets, right now, you can. I only wish that I was closer to that market. I wish I was a Ukraine real estate agent, because if I was, I would be telling everybody about the golden opportunity that exists right now in the Ukraine market. Because if you think institutional buyers are going to have a field day in our market, wait till you see what the big government institutions are going to do in that market at some point with our tax money. And let's face it, our tax money doesn't really mean anything, because right now the federal government is writing out checks their ass can't cash because they're broke, but trillions of dollars are going to be redeployed into Ukraine. So why wouldn't I want to buy a home right now in this area while there's fear, uncertainty, doubt, and blood in the streets? It's a historic time to take advantage of the opportunity in Ukraine. But unfortunately, right now, that's not the case here in my market. It's not the case in many Florida markets. But there will be distressed sellers, and when there's distress, there will be deals. Because just like my daughter, who learned while we played Monopoly last night, when she went bankrupt, she was forced to sell properties she did not want to sell. And she tried to take advantage of me and my other daughter and create deals and do everything she could possibly do to stay alive and not go bankrupt and still be in the game. But because I'm a good dad, I wanted her to feel the pain, because it's not real pain. It's pretend. It's a game. But in real life, this hurts. It is scary. It will lead to death, destruction, divorce, God knows what, all bad things. I don't want those outcomes for you or me or anybody else. but at some point they're inevitable. And it only took 10% of the market to be in distress the last time the market crashed, and at some point in the future, that is likely to happen again. But in the interim, right now, home prices continue to uptick, up until they don't. But the 9 homes that are listed on the market in my neighborhood, which are overpriced, they're not going to sell. And if the agents don't know how to tell their sellers the truth about where they need to list in order to create multiple offers which bid the price higher, well, then there's going to be a lot of people who are very disappointed and think their agent sucks or think their agent failed them. And I don't want to fail anybody. I want everybody to get what they want. And I obviously want a suntan. But I definitely don't want skin cancer. So I may need to rethink my walk and talk shirts in the future. And to be clear, I was only playing before when I mentioned Michael Fraudinero. He is not a fraud. He is doing a great job. He is continuing to tell you what you want to hear so that you will keep watching and buy his products and services. And to keep you entertained, he will do a dog and pony show, and it wouldn't surprise me if he interviewed a circus clown. But be aware who you're listening to, because if they don't actually sell real estate and they tell you flat out they don't sell real estate.
Honestly, guys, I don't really care what happens with this because I don't work for commission anymore. That's the beauty of YouTube. I don't have to worry about working for commission anymore. But
well, then I'd be real careful about taking their advice as being the gospel. But what do I know? I don't know anything. I'm just some albino realtor who should not be out in the sun wearing a NASA hat talking about what's actually happening right now in my market. So if you're thinking about buying in Boynton Beach or in Southeast Palm Beach County or really anywhere on planet Earth, please reach out. Check me out at igoehomegroup.com. Because we specialize in finding the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else, irrespective of market conditions. And if you must find your dream home and dream lifestyle, please reach out because we will negotiate the best deal humanly possible, period. But if you don't want to pay federal income tax anymore, I've got a fun fact for you. There's real cheap real estate and a much lower cost of living available to you here in the United States. But it surely is not in Florida, it's in Puerto Rico, or Puerto Rico, if I'm not trying to sound like an albino gringo. But I am an albino gringo, so I can't pretend to be something that I'm not. But I am a real estate professional, a boots-on-the-ground operator of a high-performance real estate team of professionals that works together to ensure that you get what you want and that you don't get bamboozled with bullshit or certainly overpay for a home. Ain't nobody overpaying on my watch.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And I've got an arsenal at my disposal of professionals, mortgage and real estate, and they will have your back at the highest level. So if any of that is ever anything that you need, then please check me out at igoehomegroup.com and we'll set you up right away. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up. It helps out a lot. Shout out to PBD. Remember, the future looks bright. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.